There's a lot of debate as well about where the future of endurance sports will be. We saw through COVID when races got cancelled that people went, well, I'll make my own race, I'll make my own challenge, I'll be on my own so I don't have to worry about COVID regulations. I think there's definitely, we continue to move towards adventure and experience being a large part of the goal rather than it always having to be a race. That's something that I've always felt. I mean, I think the first time I went out to Al Qudra and ran 50K around it in summer, just with a bunch of people, there was no race, there was nothing official. I don't think I even timed it anyway, was in 2015. So I don't think this desire for adventure and using endurance and training towards something that's not a race, I don't think it's something that's very new. Definitely after or during COVID, it exploded a little bit. I did hear that people were talking about, well, I won't go back to racing, but then they all do go back to racing. And I think there's something about racing that will always be valuable. And I think people will always enjoy racing because of what racing is and what racing does. And racing gives people a safety net in a way, and it gives them a clear goal and timeline to work towards. And it's not, this shouldn't sound like everyone that races has poor self-discipline, but it takes a lot more discipline to set a date in your mind and go and train super hard where you have no race fee and no real other commitment other than your word for a lot of people. Some people can do it really easily, and for some people that's a real easy way, but there's always going to be racing because a lot of people still like to test themselves in the same environment to measure performance, increase or sometimes decrease. And I think that's okay as well. I think if that's what, again, gets you up in the morning and gets you excited, then you should continue to enter these races. For some people, it's a little bit of a safety net as well because it's all there and it's all organized, and that's what they need. That's what they feel, let's say, more comfortable to ensure that they're actually going to achieve this thing and go through the training. And to be honest, a lot of the lessons and the benefits also come through in the training as well as in the racing. So I think we've got this nice mix, and if races are good for you, do races. If going up to the top of a mountain and nexting yourself around for 6 hours really challenges you and doing it all through the night, then I think that there's a place for that as well. And I don't think that's different to what we've seen through a number of the years. I was talking to my dad about this actually yesterday when I ran my 30 marathons in 2018. I hadn't heard of many people that had done running like that back to back. And this might be because social media wasn't quite as big back then. But nowadays, I was just reading today, there's a guy who's running the length of Africa. There's also simultaneously a guy who is running across America. And simultaneously, there's a guy in Wales who's doing 102 Ironman distance triathlons. So full distance triathlons in 102 days. Are we hearing more about this now, or are people generally just setting up their own challenges and getting out there and doing it more? I don't know. I think there'll always be races, and as I said, there'll always be people that will have opinions about race organizers. Some people love them, some people hate them, but I think we should just try and be good to each other because they're also important as well. I think ultimately as well, for some people, they will realize that racing in a race format is what challenges them for the right reasons, and others will figure out that it really doesn't excite them too much. For me personally, if there was never a formal race again, I wouldn't feel sad about it. I like them. I love running in a race. We were recently in Vienna running a marathon. It was awesome. People in the streets. I've run some amazing races. I got some amazing support during my marathons, but as I grow a little bit older, going out alone or just with a couple of mates is far more challenging as well. And that's one of the things for me, and I wrote about it actually after Rackman. I can just get in the car at any time and quit. Whereas in a race, you've got a lot of people spurring you on, cheering you. They've done it quite well in a lot of races where they put your name on the bib so that everyone knows your name, and that really lifts you up But I love that, and I've loved that for a long time. Crowds are great, and they've really spurred me on. But I think the more I move in the world of endurance and endurance events, the more I enjoy perhaps the solitude of being alone. I don't know.